It started with a blocked drain, just a routine call, a plumber, a wrench, a smell no one could explain, but what came out of those pipes didn't belong in any home. Not hair, not grease, not food. It was flesh, human flesh. The flat above was rented by a quiet man, lived alone, walked his dog, kept to himself. He'd even filed the complaint about the smell. His name? Dennis Nilsen. Police knocked. He answered politely, invited them in. They asked a simple question. He gave a simple answer. It's a long story. It goes back a long time. I'll tell you everything. They weren't ready for what came next. No one was. For 5 years, in the heart of London, men were disappearing. Boys, drifters, runaways, vanishing without a trace. Their names forgotten. Their stories untold. Until now, this is the story of how death hid in plain sight, of a man who didn't kill out of hate, but out of need, and of a city that didn't see it coming. This is the story of Dennis Nilsen, and the house of death he built from silence. Welcome to Unveiled Crime Mysteries channel, where I unveil mysterious true crimes, some lost to time, others fresh in memory. Justice might not be served, but the shadow is unveiled. Dennis Nilsen didn't look like a monster. He looked like the man who held the door open. Polite, soft-spoken, lived alone with his dog in North London. A civil servant, a former police trainee. He worked in a job centre, helping people find work. He was quiet at the office, punctual, kept to himself. Nobody looked twice. But behind closed doors, Nilsen was building a morgue. From 1978 to 1983, he killed at least 12 young men and boys. He claimed there were 16. Most were runaways, homeless, gay, lost in a city that didn't care. He offered them food, drink, a warm place to stay. In the shadows of Thatcher's Britain, no one asked questions. Nilsen knew that, and he used it. By day he offered handshakes and housing advice. By night he hunted for company. Not for sex, not for money. He wanted someone who would never leave, someone he could keep. He didn't stab, he didn't shoot. He strangled, then drowned. Quiet, controlled, clean. Then he washed the bodies and laid them on his bed. He didn't see corpses, he saw companions. After his first kill, he said, "I had started down the avenue of death and possession of a new kind of flatmate." This is how the story begins. New Year's Eve, 1970. Dennis Nilsen is 33. Alone, drinking at the Cricklewood Arms. In the corner, he notices a teenage boy trying to buy alcohol. Stephen Holmes, 14. They talk, laugh. Nilsen offers him more drinks at his flat. Music, company. Stephen agrees. They stay up late, fall asleep in the same bed, but in the morning, something changes. Nilsen sees the boy sleeping peacefully, and panic takes over. "I was afraid to wake him in case he left me. He would stay with me over the new year whether he wanted to or not." So Nilsen straddles the boy, wraps a necktie around his throat, and strangles him until he stops moving. Then he fills a bucket with water and finishes the job. Stephen Holmes is dead. Nilsen doesn't run, doesn't scream. He sits there, still, almost calm. He carries the body to the bathroom, washes it clean, lays it back on the bed like nothing happened. He caresses the corpse. He masturbates over it. To Nilsen, Stephen is no longer a boy. He's a possession, something to dress, pose, talk to. For days, Nilsen sleeps beside him, whispers to him, pretends he's just asleep. But decay doesn't wait, so Nilsen lifts the floorboards, eased him into his new bed beneath the floorboards. He later wrote. A week later he digs him up again, washes the body one more time. The skin is still pale. That pleases him. No one sees this as horrifying, except us. For Nilsen, it's a reunion, something tender. He keeps the body for months, until August 1979. Then in the quiet of his back garden, he burns what's left. Bone, skin, clothing, all of it. No one sees a thing. The first murder is done, and Dennis Nilsen feels a kind of peace. I caused dreams which caused death. This is my crime. I had started down the avenue of death and possession of a new kind of flatmate. The door is open, and Nilsen has stepped through. Was it a one-off? A drunken mistake? No, it was the beginning of something far worse. The months pass. Nilsen smiles at work, feeds his dog, chats to neighbors. Inside, though, he's waiting for the next one. That second chance comes in December 1979. A full year later, Nilsen meets a 23-year-old Canadian tourist named Kenneth Ockenden. They talk at a pub in the West End. Nilsen plays the friendly local. He offers to show Kenneth around. He brings him home, cooks for him. Later that night, Kenneth listens to music. Nilsen sneaks behind him, wraps the headphone cord around his neck, tightens, and kills. Then, nothing. No panic. Nilsen pours a drink, puts on the same headphones, listens to music using the cord that just took a life, as if the evening had gone on without interruption. The next day, he buys a Polaroid, takes photos of the body, posed, arranged, framed. Then he sits Kenneth's corpse in the armchair, watches telly beside it, drinks rum like it's just another night in. For 2 weeks Nilsen takes the body out from under the floorboards, seats it next to him, keeps it company, his own private flatmate. End of the day, end of the drink, end of a person, floorboards back, carpet replaced, and back to work at Denmark Street. Murder has become routine. Kill, clean, store, then clock in at the job center. By 1980, Nilsen is losing control. In May he finds a boy, 16 years old, sleeping rough at Euston Station. His name is Martin Duffy. He's cold, hungry. Nilsen offers warmth, shelter, food. Martin accepts. He never gets out. As the boy sleeps, Nilsen strangles him, drags him to the kitchen, drowns him in the sink. Then something worse. Nilsen climbs into the bath with the corpse. Later, he kisses the body, strokes it. The youngest looking I had ever seen. He said. He lays the body in a chair, then on the bed, masturbates on it, talks to it, acts like it's still alive, as if this is romance, not murder. After 2 days the body begins to bloat. Nilsen stuffs it into a cupboard, then moves it beneath the floorboards, another guest in his silent, hidden collection. After Martin Duffy, the killings didn't slow down, they picked up speed. Dennis Nilsen later admitted that after May 1980, he killed at least 5 more men. Most were never identified. No names, no headlines, just gone, swallowed up by the floorboards. He barely remembered their faces, but certain moments stuck with him. One man's legs pedaled in the air as he died, like he was riding a bike. Another, Nilsen tried to revive, watched him die again, then looked at himself in the mirror, and one night, he lay beside a dead man, put on his stereo, played fanfare for the common man, and wept. He said the body looked beautiful in the soft light. Grief, love, possession, all tangled into one. But the bodies didn't disappear, they rotted. The flat stank of death. Maggots swarmed under the floor, flies clung to the windows. Neighbors noticed, complained. Nilsen made excuses, or just lived with it. Eventually, the smell got too much, even for him, so he cleared them out, cut them up, wrapped body parts in bin liners, waited for dark, built fires in the garden. Late 1980, one fire stood out, 6 bodies at least, all stacked with wood. He tossed on an old tire to mask the stench of burning flesh. Children came to watch. They laughed, watched the flames twist in the wind. They had no idea what they were looking at. Nilsen later said, "It would have seemed in order if those kids had been dancing around a mass funeral pyre." And that's exactly what it was. When the fire burned low, he dug through the ashes, found a skull still intact, smashed it with a rake. By early 1981, this was his routine: kill, hide, burn, repeat. No one stopped him. The police knew nothing. The system failed the missing, and Nilsen kept going, always chasing the next flatmate, one who wouldn't leave. But cracks were forming. In 1979, a teenager named Andrew Ho escaped. Nilsen tried to kill him. Ho got out and went straight to the police, told them everything, but he didn't press charges. He was 19, gay, and below the legal age of consent. Scared of what might happen if the truth came out, the police let it drop. Then in November 1980, Douglas Stewart woke up in Nilsen's flat. He felt a cord tightening around his neck, fought back, hard, escaped with his life. He told the police. They didn't believe him. As soon as the word homosexual was mentioned, the police lost all interest. Stewart later said, 2 chances, 2 cries for help, both ignored, and Nilsen stayed free. Then came the move. In autumn 1981, Nilsen's landlord gave notice. Renovations were planned. He had to leave. Nilsen hesitated. The floorboards of Melrose Avenue held his secrets, but he took the 1,000 packed up. On his last night there, he lit one final fire. 5 more bodies burned, 1 more tire, 1 more smoke signal. No one noticed. Then he left. Just him, his dog, and whatever belongings hadn't touched the dead. On October 5, 1981, he moved into a top-floor flat at 23D, Cranley Gardens, Muswell Hill. No garden, no floorboards, no place to bury anything. For a brief moment he stopped. Maybe the new flat unsettled him. Maybe he sensed it was all catching up. But peace never lasted long with Dennis Nilsen. Within 2 days of his arrest, Dennis Nilsen was on every front page. The Daily Mirror shouted it loud. House of horror. Reporters crowded Cranley Gardens. Neighbors watched in disbelief. A man who helped the unemployed by day had been killing in secret for 5 years. No one had noticed. The public was stunned, then furious, especially the LGBTQ families of the missing. How could this happen? How did a killer go unchecked in the middle of London? People had warned police. Victims had escaped. Nothing was done. Now the questions had weight, and the courts would have to answer. In October 1983, Dennis Nilsen stood trial at the Old Bailey. 6 murder charges. 2 attempted. They couldn't pin all the victims on him. Too many, too damaged, too lost to time. Still, the case was strong. Nilsen pleaded not guilty, blamed his mind. He hoped to be found insane. The jury didn't buy it. Survivors stood in court. Douglas Stewart, Paul Nobbs, Carl Stotter. They told their stories, calm, clear, alive, and the jury listened. Then came the letters. The victim is the dirty platter after the feast, and the washing up is a clinically ordinary task. 1 line, cold, detached. He wasn't sorry. He wasn't ashamed. Another letter read, "It amazes me that I have no tears for these victims. I have no tears for myself or those bereaved by my action. Not a shred of remorse, just analysis, just self-pity." He even tried to twist it as mercy. Victims who I decide to release quickly from the slings and arrows of their outrageous fortune, pain and suffering, as if murder was a favor. The jury saw through it. On November 4, 1983, he was convicted on all counts. Life in prison, no parole, later changed to a whole life tariff. Dennis Nilsen would die inside. They sent him to HMP Full Sutton. The nightmare at Cranley Gardens was over, but the shadow it left, that was just beginning. Why did he do it? That question haunted everyone. Nilsen himself spent years trying to answer it. He wrote journals, worked with psychologists, tried to explain the monster he had become. It started early. In rural Scotland, he adored his grandfather. Then the old man died at sea. Dennis was 6. They brought the body home. His mother told him,
He's just sleeping. He kissed his grandfather's cold face in the coffin, and something changed. He became quiet, withdrawn, confused. He linked death with love, permanence with stillness. In prison, he later wrote, "The image of my dead grandfather would be the model. It was a pseudo-sexual, infantile love. It seems necessary for them to have been dead in order that I could express those feelings. To love, he believed they had to be dead." As a young man, Nilsen realized he was gay, but he hated that truth. He felt ashamed, isolated, angry. The army gave him discipline, but no peace. Relationships failed. One partner left in 1977. Nilsen never got over it. By 1978, he was drinking too much, spiraling, alone, unfit to live with, he said. Then he found a way to keep people, kill them, keep them close, forever. His victims were often drifters, gay men, runaways. He saw himself in them. He also knew society wouldn't come looking. In court he quoted Oscar Wilde, "Each man kills the thing he loves. The coward does it with a kiss. The brave man with a sword." Nilsen killed because he loved. But make no mistake, it was cowardice. Experts called him disordered, emotionally empty. One said he viewed people as objects. That tracks. In one letter to police, Nilsen wrote, "A creature who lapses into a destructive psychopath." He blamed drink. He blamed pain. Then he added, beating the system, individual exaltation in beating and confounding it, time and time again. He liked getting away with it. A control, a power. He didn't just kill, he tested the world to see if it would catch him. It didn't. For years, Nilsen was ordinary on the surface. Walked his dog, chatted with neighbors, went to work. No rage, no rants. He wasn't a monster in public. He was polite. That's what made it worse. When Douglas Stewart tried to report him, police didn't believe it. They couldn't see a killer in a mild-mannered civil servant. That mistake cost lives. But the biggest failure wasn't just in missing Nilsen, it was in ignoring his victims. The 70s and 80s were hard years for gay men in the UK. Prejudice was everywhere. Nilsen's victims were often labeled prostitutes or vagrants. The implication, their deaths mattered less. When Andrew Ho and Douglas Stewart escaped, police shrugged it off. Because they were gay, 15 victims might still be alive, said one journalist. And they were right. Even in death, Nilsen was theatrical. He once quoted, "Each man kills the thing he loves," then admitted, "It amazes me that I have no tears." He knew what he'd done. He just didn't feel it. That's the horror. He wasn't confused. He wasn't delusional. He was empty. Dennis Nilsen died on May 12, 20. Surgery complications took him. No one wept. No candles burned. He left no legacy, only a warning. Yet his voice lived on. In 2021, the Nilsen tapes aired, recordings from his prison years. Detached, cold, chilling. He described murder like it was paperwork. He even published a memoir, History of a Drowning Boy. Some called it disgraceful, but in those pages, we saw the mind of a man who killed to feel close, and who never truly understood why. The victims are what matter. Real people, real lives. Stephen Dean Holmes, 14 years old, looking for a party. Kenneth Ockenden, a Canadian tourist with a loving family. Martin Duffy, 16, searching for a future. William Billy Sutherland, a father from Scotland. Malcolm Barlow, John Howlett, Graham Allen, Stephen Sinclair, and many, who still have no name. They deserve more than just a footnote in horror. Nilsen's story teaches us something vital. Loneliness can fester. Mental illness can destroy. Indifference from society can be deadly. One man did the killing, but silence and stigma helped him get away with it. So we remember, the flat at Cranley Gardens still stands. Ordinary bricks, ordinary windows. But once, it held a nightmare. Evil doesn't come with a warning sign. Sometimes, it walks its dog, pays its rent, smiles in the hallway. We owe it to the lost to stay vigilant, to fight for the forgotten, to listen when someone says they're afraid, and above all to never let this happen again. Thank you for watching. To support our channel, kindly like, comment and share. Please don't forget to subscribe for more videos daily.